You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overall, editors of the Batuta Advocate on Desert Rock FM. Welcome back to the Batuta Advocate radio show. A lot of pressure on us now in our kind of radio capacity right now. We've got, I guess you'd say, a pioneer of Australian radio. It wasn't really a big thing. Wasn't a big thing until he was around. Maybe there was Lawsy. I think he kind of had a bit of a following. But then,
I think it was pretty big in the 20s. It was in the 1920s.
It kind of came in a bit after TV. Some of these,
Yeah, I think he wrote a bit on the coattails of Richard Mercer.
That's true.
Yeah,
that is true. Hot 30 stuff. I was obviously post Hot 30 countdown. Ugly Phil. Mm-hmm. He's a trailblazer.
What's that fucking the Spoon Man?
Spoony on the M's,
mate. Spoony. We learn a lot from Spoony.
Spoonie's a rare unit.
Do you know Spoony? Oh God, I'm going to get this wrong, but I reckon you'd be a chance to get him on if you wanted to.
Yeah.
We love Spoon Man. We were like, put Spoon Man in breakfast. Like Spoon Man was on Triple M, like 10.
Was so controversial.
10 to 12, and I wasn't a religious listener, but every time I listened, it was odds on he'd be talking about cyclists needing registration plates, like license plates, and a real be in his bonnet about cyclists. Like, you've got to register them. I mean, it's if they're on the road, if they want to be treated as a car, register them so you can report them. That always seemed to be a hot topic. But we were a big fan of Spoon Man.
Oh, because he was raw and he had honest opinions.
And it was almost a pretty good Spoon Man impression there. Because he got deep. He got real deep on the mic. He really ate that mic. And we were often asked, we were in the drive slot and we sort of did I think me and Andy did 5 or 6 years in drive. And different markets would be rotating through their breakfast shows. So the conversation would always come up with people that ran the radio station, like, who do you reckon would be a good breakfast show? Because they're always looking at replacing breakfast shows, like quite a lot in FM radio.
That happens a bit.
I mean, to the point where, we were always pushing for Spoon Man, but he never got up. We were always like, get Spoony in. Spoonie's what you need in drive. You need a big spoonful of Spoon Man for breakfast.
He doesn't keep regular hours. He's good. He can get up.
Just tell him to stay up a bit later and he'll do breakfast and go to sleep. But this is a classic. This is one of my favourite stories from radio days as an example of how quickly you rotate through breakfast shows. Right. One year, me and Andy, we took a few years off doing drive and then we came back, I think, for 3 years, 2.5 years. We were like, we'll come back, but we've got some stuff to do, so we're not going to start till mid-year. And they're like, yeah, no worries. So I think we started about May or June, whatever year it was, maybe 2017. And so when we came in, and it's at the old radio building we'd been in, but it's been a couple of years since we'd done drive. Our old boss, Dave, the head of content for the whole of Australia. He's like, look, guys, you're the drive show, national, but want to get you up to speed with where the breakfast shows are at around the country, because you'll be the drive show to several other breakfast shows because it's syndicated.
Yeah,
and we're really excited. It's a much different place than you left. Really want to jazz you up. Got a sizzle reel. We want to show you in the boardroom just to fire you up about. It's a great feeling. Feeling at the network. So okay, yeah, great. So we sit down. There's about 10 minutes while they have to call someone up to figure out how to get the screen to work, and finally the screen works. The sizzle reel starts, and it's like, the Today Network, all your favourite music. And it's like, your favourite shows.
Your favourite music. A tear's gone cold. I'm wondering.
Probably. It's like, hey, Australia, it's Pink. Hey, your favourite breakfast shows. And it's like, Fifi and Fev in Melbourne. And it's like, and on, in Adelaide, we've got... I can't remember. She was like, we've got Millie, Simon, and straight away Dave goes, she's gone, actually. She's been next. Sorry, we'll change that show. This is this is a sizzle from January.
This is a quick turnaround.
This is a sizzle from Jan, and yes, they're gone. And then later on, there's another show from Newcastle. We're changing them too. We are getting rid of them. The sizzle involved 5 has-beens.
And it's for the same reason. That's why when it works, they stay.
Oh, you stay.
Yeah.
Even when it works a little bit. It's hard to make it work. You hold on. You just hold on.
I was just thinking back with Spoon Man before.
And
we'll get towards introducing him in a second.
I like being the mystery guest.
He's pretty much just a cab driver who never sleeps. Like, so it's like you hop in a cab at 10. It's like, where have you been, mate? I said, I've been out in Richmond. Oh, fuck Richmond, mate. It's full of fucking drunks, people spewing in my taxi.
I mean, was he a cab driver? He was a cab driver, wasn't he?
I think maybe earlier on.
I think that was his actual pedigree, though, for getting into ready to go. I'm an everyman.
Well, it explains a lot if that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no real... There's no, there's one destination, many paths. Like, everyone's got a different way into the building. Remember that BBC bit of footage, that sort of viral footage, where the guy was a driver? He turned up to pick someone up. It was on like a BBC talk show, like an early morning talk. Do you remember that?
No.
Where the guy goes, this could be Spoonman's explanation. He might have just come to pick someone up one night and just wandered into the studio and gone, I know how to talk. Do you remember the guy just sitting there because he was just like in the back corridors? Just in a guy in a blazer, like he was in a driver's uniform, and someone's gone, great,
and you can see his face.
He's like, great. The finance minister's here. You good to go? Or like, you're an economist, and he was just too nice. I think he just froze and didn't say anything. So they mic'd him up and put him on the set. And then they come back live and go, all right, well, we're the economy's tanking and unemployment's up. Here to talk about his finance specialist, like Greg, whatever. The guy he's just smiling, going.
It's like.
I'm not.
Yeah, I think okay. So,
I can get you.
I think Professor Hargraves is having a panic attack, so we'll just move across here to Johnny with weather. And he was like, I was just here.
I was just here to pick someone up.
I can get you from Wembley to Hackney in 10, 15 minutes. I know the shortcuts, but I don't know how I ended up here.
It's not a bad move, though, if you ever find yourself on live breakfast TV and you don't want to answer the question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. That's not me. I'm just a driver that accidentally wandered onto set.
Spoonman was the first person to get cancelled, I think, in my experience of people getting cancelled, because I remember tuning in one night. For whatever reason, I was working somewhere, and I tuned in. It was the day after Steve Irwin had died.
Oh, right.
And Spoonman had come out with a catastrophically hot take the night of Steve Irwin's death, which has said, well, do we say good riddance to a man that harassed animals for a living?
Spoonful.
And everyone's
The next night, it's obviously made the newspaper.
Spoonful of controversy.
The next night, the phone
Saved my
calls
job.
the punters that called in the next night was just sensate. It was like, look, Spoonie, I love you. But what you said last night about Steve Irwin was beyond the pale. Yeah. Like, there was just... And he's like, yeah, look, I apologize. I don't apologize for what I said, but I should have said it differently. Just unabashed, but also the true talkback guy that's offending his own audience.
No, that's good. That's a tough card to play. It's a really interesting one from Spoonman. Know your crowd. Just I reckon there's a fair bit of anti-Irwin sentiment, and tonight's the night to find it.
Real raw.
I wonder what he's doing now.
Oh, no, he's still in the loops. I think he's to be doing VOs and stuff like that.
I think he's lost the graveyard shift.
Okay,
but I last I heard he was down in Tassie.
Ah,
yeah.
Now you could have moved to Tassie.
Could have.
You've just moved cities. Did lockdown break you? Is that why you moved?
No, we were going to move before. We did plan to move before lockdown, but lockdown. It had low chances of turning the tide, low chances of changing our mind. So the wheels were in motion, and the decision had sort of been made about March, just as COVID was sort of hitting.
Yep.
And I mean, we sort of delayed. We were like, okay, well, it's probably not the time to do it now. But we knew we were moving, and then when the second lockdown in Melbourne happened, and that sort of, I don't know, whatever it was, 100 days. It just felt like one long day, to be honest.
Oh, brutal.
But that second lockdown, there was no point where we sort of turned around and went, I don't know, now that we've been only in 5Ks of our house for the last 94 days.
Yeah.
It's this is growing on me.
Yeah. Wait. Each time I drive from the airport in Melbourne into town, like just imagine if you had to spend 5Ks within Coburg. Or
You
something.
were definitely
It's
luckier
just-
5Ks.
There is just not that there's not that much there, is it?
Well, there's not much to look at in Melbourne. They've got
But
a
you
lot
can
going
find
on.
it. Yeah. There's lots of stuff to find. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we almost got Stockholm syndrome, I guess, from the house. Like we maybe were like, we're cancelling the move. This is all we ever need forever. We're not doing 5Ks.
But the culture in Melbourne's the draw card, and when
It's findable.
when lockdown's on,
That was tough.
You're missing the comedy,
Yeah.
and you're missing the bars and the restaurants.
Bars, restaurants, live music, sport, comedy. When you take that out, and that's all of Triple M, when you basically take out Triple M's positioning statement,
Triple M.
you take out rock, sport, and comedy, and plus live music and coffee shops.
Yep. And the
It was-
Foo Fighters.
It was tough. It was suddenly you were just. It was like being in a nightclub when the lights are on and the chairs are up.
Oh,
You're like,
that's
it's lost its
that's-
magic a little bit.
It sucks.
Oh, that's what this room looks like.
That's what it smells like.
Yeah. It's like when you go back to a nightclub the day after you've lost a wallet.
Yes.
the guy's
do you have
like-
a brown jacket here?
And the guy's like, mate, just go down and have a look. The cleaners didn't find anything. You're just like, okay,
But it does have that strange thing of going, I fought so hard to get into this room last night.
Yeah.
I gave everything to get in here, and now the trick is over, and you
Yeah.
can just wander around freely in this basement.
And the furniture doesn't look so good at the moment.
It's not the sexiest place I've ever seen anymore. But having said that, like Melbourne, there was a great camaraderie in Melbourne. Everyone kind of like made do, and it was everyone shoulder to shoulder it. But gee, we missed the life of Melbourne.
yeah.
Sounds a lot like North Korea. Yeah.
We did it. Yeah,
We're trying to bait a dictator Dan out of you.
I know he's listening from the rehab unit, and we send thoughts and prayers.
No, but like every single time a camera crew goes down to the Albert in Melbourne, they always are out the front, and always there is a helicopter coming or going. So you've got the person on the ABC like, no, he's just broken a couple of vertebrae. I think he's going to be all right.
We got some good hate mail yesterday from someone who's obviously, there's a couple of deranged camps. There's like the deranged I love Dan camps, and there's the deranged I hate Dan. It was the latter. Emailed us and goes, look at you guys, fucking bias much? Not going to take the piss out of Dan Andrews slipping over and ending up in intensive care. We're like, I don't know. I don't know if that's biased to not.
What do we reckon, guys? This guy that's been
Yeah.
bothering steps. What do we say? Good riddance.
I was gonna do one. It's like he's not the first person to do his ass on the Mornington Peninsula on a long weekend or what?
Oh, look, I'd say I'm just firmly in the middle. I mean, he did a great.
Yeah.
It worked. It worked. So you absolutely got to.
Yeah.
It didn't have an easy job. I don't think anyone was waking up going, "Geez, I'd love to be premier."
Yeah.
But I think the only thing that grated was love, indifference to whatever the politics were. I reckon it was just the boredom that got to people. It was like, I mean, he would have been bored too. He didn't. I don't think he wanted to do 100 gigs straight, but just every day
Yeah.
doing a press conference. It was like being on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
And there's one band.
One night in Bangkok.
And if they're like, even if they're awesome, after seeing them 100 times, you're like, all right, I just need another act.
Yeah,
I think everyone
Yeah.
just got sick of watching the same gig.
Yeah. It must have been brutal. Like, but don't you love it in lockdown? I mean, elsewhere in the country only had that 6 weeks at the start of the year, but
That was great fun. That felt like a fun run.
Yeah.
We're all doing it. People in Italy are singing on balconies. Like everyone's cooking sourdough.
Yeah.
We're all making funny videos in our garage.
Yeah.
It felt like a real fun run. And then the 100-day felt like an ultra marathon in jeans that you got told to run with 5 minutes notice.
yeah, it was pretty quick to snap to.
Because initially that was going to be 6 weeks too, and we had it marked on our calendar. I remember it was September 13th. I think it was like that was the 6 week mark, and we had like the calendar in the kitchen, and the kids were marking it off. And as we were like 2 weeks out, and there was still like 500 or 600 cases a day or something, I said to my wife, "Hey, take the calendar down. This is not good for morale. It's definitely not ending on the 13th." And then it just went on and on and on.
Yeah, it just sounded like, the one thing that I love though is when you're taking it seriously. You got a calendar. Everyone's taking it seriously. And then in lockdown, you hear of 19-year-old bartenders who are selling takeaway drinks out of a bar, and they've employed their 3 mates as cleaners, and then they get pissed and invite 10 more people. You know, the people who are just like, no, we're actually just going to break the rules
Like,
here and have a bin. I'm like,
I guess there were pockets that I never really heard.
I got respect for those
It's
kids.
not, yeah. It's
You
not like
know?
I didn't get invited to any COVID parties. I didn't hear of any going on. I think, guys, I guess because I'm like circulating more in like the family side of things. Everyone's like doing the right thing.
I got respect for the kids. They had a horrible year, you know, and they ended up having their schoolies on Noosa.
Being single too, like in your prime, we know now. Like I'm 39.
Yeah.
The prime is gone. But you have a sense, right? When you're 23, there is a sense of going, God, you know, I eat what I want.
Yeah.
I get hammered all the time. I bounce back. My skin's full of elastin. I'm full of collagen.
I have no
I'm
capillaries.
I'm rich as hell. I'm clearing $650 a week.
I got no expenses. Like
If my hangover's real bad, I'll smoke a cone.
like, that is the prime of your life, and you got it clamped down for you. Like brutal. Probably the best. I was probably the best situation. I'm like just hitting middle age. I'm 39. I got 2 kids. I wasn't going out anyway.
And your kids aren't like crying baby age. They're like playful fun age.
They were like, in the case of event of emergency, just put the iPad on and we can all just regroup by watching Zootopia again, and then like they can find the strength to continue.
Well, it was interesting because when it all started to kick off in Melbourne again in the middle of July, we were down in Sydney on business, and there was like 20 cases here on like the 10th, and then 45 on the 11th, and the pubs and everything were all open, and it was like the sacking of Rome, because everyone knew that it was about to be closed down, and there's just people out the front of pubs projectile vomiting on the footpath.
That's the thing. The night
Rush it in.
because they got 48 hours.
Get your fill.
48 hours we're locking you down. It was like the zombie apocalypse, like driving near my house in Richmond. It was just like people. It was like they run the premiership again. Just like people all over the street. It was like, this has got to be doing more harm than good.
I know.
Like, it's going to be 4 more weeks to undo all the damage from this night.
Just this night, because it doesn't matter what you say to people. If you give them a deadline, you know, like it's like, please be careful until, but you know, pubs are still open right now.
Yeah, it's like it's not like when we all sung carols in World War One with the Germans and played soccer on Christmas Eve. Like, there is no truce with the virus. Like, the virus isn't going to go, all right, I give you 48 hours, but after that, I'm virulent as hell.
Coming back as a deadly strain. Phase 2.
The best one was the beaches. Bondi was a good one, where it's like, it was that perfect little patch where you could really be quite selfish, where it's like you've been let go from work, but business hasn't shut down and lockdown hasn't come in, so it's like, you're off work. Go to the beach with 40,000 other people.
Yeah, and it was 39 and there was no wind. And I was like, where do we go? To one of the most iconic beaches in the world, because we're Australians and nothing bad happens to us.
Let's put this salt in the air, and that's a known antiviral.
It hates the heat, mate. It hates the heat.
But that's what, when we first moved to Sydney, I was like, I was walking around Bondi with my wife. She was like, why are there so many cops around Bondi? I was like, honey, remember, it's like several weekends in a row, it accidentally became the poster child of irresponsible behaviour. Like, I'm sure there's tons of irresponsible behaviour happening, but it's just like, please guys, just not at Bondi, not again. Like, 6 times in a row, it's really beginning to look bad.
And you look at some of those beaches during lockdown, it's like, it looks like it's bigger. You know, it's like, you'll never see that again.
Yeah.
Bondi Beach.
I just can't believe.
Those weird Melbourne beaches.
The face mask thing in Melbourne, because we did 100 days with face masks all the time outside. You got so used to it. It was really odd going back to walking around outside in Melbourne without a face mask, even though it should have felt weird the whole time. Like, I live near the MCG, and so that was our exercise. Like, we'd walk through the G, and you know, you didn't have to wear one if you were running. And so I decided to, like, I can't run, but I was like, well, you know, fuck, we're all taking up wild hobbies. So I downloaded an app called Couch to 5K, which is like to get you up to 5K's distance. Most of it's walking, especially at the start. So you run for 2 minutes and you walk for 2 minutes.
Pole to pole.
But yeah, it's a bit of that, bit of sprint to the next light pole. So you run, but you don't need a face mask while you're running, and then you stop. And I'm like, well, I'm not, you know, you're exercising still, but you would get, you know, if someone kind of turned a corner and saw you walking, not running, and you weren't masked, it was, it was, and you were like, 300 metres away, and you could feel the scowls and the points of that guy down there. He's unmasked. And then you'd start running again. Everyone's like, oh, fill your boots, of course.
Yeah.
You've got to get your exercise. You completely... Now you can huff and puff and you'll be totally fine. But it became this weird thing with like... And then suddenly on a Friday, there was still that vibe. And then on Monday, everyone's unmasked and we're back to normal. We forget about it again.
Oh, man.
Where
it's just such
in
a
Brisbane,
big
it
day.
was a bit of the inverse, where you'd see another person who didn't have a mask. And
What,
it's
you don't
just
trust me?
like-
What's wrong?
And it
What's
was
wrong with
just
me? You don't trust me?
like a knowing nod, like brother. Yes.
But also, you see someone with a
in the
mask in
trenches.
Brisbane, you start, you don't trust me? Why are you wearing a mask? You think I'm gross? You think I'm fucking, you think I got the virus, mate? No
Yeah.
one up here has
There's,
it. No one's
there's
ever
no
had
virus
it.
up here.
But I still do remember, like, in the first lockdown, I would see people wearing masks down the street. And the general vibe, even in Melbourne, was like, whoa, slow down, Hazcam. It's okay. Chill out, bro.
Yeah. Righto, Sazi.
And then, then it got really real.
Well, from there, I'm going to clarify now. Hamish is in Batuta.
I've flown up, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it's Tourism Australia, etc., etc.
Holiday here this
see
year,
Australia.
specifically Batuta.
Yeah,
Visit
yeah.
our cities, that's the current campaign. Batuta, of course, being one of the proud cities on that list.
Tourism reliant, cheap tickets, etc. But I want to clarify now that this isn't paid by Tourism Australia. But we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff because
Although
you're the
it
only
could be.
person I know who's been on holidays recently, just because
wild.
you're part of getting this off the ground again, domestic tourism.
True.
How has that been? Like, looked like the other day you had Lord Howe Island to yourself.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you always have... We booked that trip 6 months ago, and until we were there, I did not think that was going to happen. It's pretty hard to get to Lord Howe Island because you always have it to yourself. Have you guys ever been?
No,
No,
I'd
never
like to
been.
go.
400-person cap.
Yeah.
Really?
So there's only 400 visitors allowed on the island ever.
Yeah.
So their whole economy is based off 400 tourist beds. There's about 300 locals, and then that's it. They're like, we don't make anything, we don't export anything, we don't mess with it. So what that means is it's kind of like a theme park. The whole island's like a theme park, but the theme is 80s small town. Because that's what it is. There's like a few roads.
Yeah.
The speed limit's 25.
Like a New Zealand horror film.
Yeah, or
Essentially,
Auckland.
Auckland in general. Yeah.
There's like speed limit's 25. Like there's one kind of cafe.
Bit of drink driving, I imagine. Not that
Well-
you didn't have a car with you, but
No, I mean probably like maybe not, because the only people who've got a car are locals.
Yeah.
And there's not even really that much of a need for a car because everyone just
Yeah.
rides bikes. And
Yeah,
but
right.
even you sort of stay there for like 2 days, and then the locals know who's on the island because there's not that many people on the island. And so they'll see you riding along down the other end of the island. They're like, mate, aren't you staying up near, you guys are up near Ned's Beach, aren't you?
Yeah.
Just chuck the bike in the back. I'll give you a lift up.
Oh, right.
So everyone just becomes a local.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I got invited to the Nippers sausage sizzle
Yeah,
on
right.
Saturday morning. You just can't, that's the beauty of the island.
yeah, and that feels warm when you get when the tourism town gives you the call up.
But that's the thing. It's
Hmm.
like they just love. They've sort of like they've nailed the number. What I find most remarkable is it's been like that for decades.
Yeah.
And so I was chatting to the guy, like you say like, oh, we've got a fishing tour tomorrow. I'm not sure who it's with, and they'll go, no, that's yeah, you're out with
Ken.
You're with Brad.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it might be him. Like, no, it's him. That's it. That's the
Yeah.
boat. There's one boat. That's who you go with. You go out with Brad. Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'll double check. Well, unless you're on the barge that comes every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
that's the boat on the island. You go out with Brad. So
So there's no like locals only fucking touros attitude at
it's
all.
like, it's
they get it.
wild.
Yeah,
Every local says hi. Everyone
Yeah,
wants to know
right.
if you're all right. Do you need anything? All the kids, like there is a school there that has like 30, 40 kids in it. That's all like the local island kids, and they're all like
Yeah.
waving and loving it. So what I was most impressed, because I was having this conversation with Brad, the fisherman. So, mate, surely there's obviously like a town body, like, some sort of like board
Yeah.
or whatever. It would come up that they go, if we raised it to 500 beds, we'd all make 25% more money.
Yeah.
Like, surely someone along the line has gone, it's not, there's like 3 other people on the beach. Like, surely
Yeah.
someone's gone, we could.
slippery slope, mate. Slippery slope.
But it is, and they've really stuck firm, and that's why it's a really incredible place. So it's like, it is incredible for its natural beauty, but I found it more incredible as a social experiment
Well,
that
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
budged.
I've read that the property on the island, like say
I don't think you can buy it.
you can, but in the charter for the whole island, first dibs are given to other islanders.
Yep.
So nothing ever goes to market there.
Yeah, it's not like you could just buy a block.
Right, I didn't know.
Did
I've
you
met
go
people
out
that
to,
have worked there as porters, like the young kids that get jobs over there, and they love it because they get free reign. You know, what
And
I
the
mean?
funny thing is, the barge, the main. It comes out of. I'm not sure where it comes out of, but comes across from the mainland every 2 weeks, and it's everything. It's like Dan Murphy's orders, alcohol post. If someone's ordered a bike or a car, that would be a big event. Like, there's not many on the island, so there's probably like a ceremony for that. But everyone gets pretty excited on boat day. We were there for boat day. I mean, there's always stuff. There's always stuff on the island.
Your mail, it's so exciting. It really is.
It really would be. There's no mobile phone towers, so you've got landlines or mail. They've only just sort of got the internet, and it's kind of divided the island. Like, they kind of wish they didn't have it.
Right.
It's dial-up speeds.
Yeah.
But it used to be a place where it was like, hey, throw that thing in the drawer because
Yeah.
it's useless here, and we've got payphones if you need them.
Well, that they only just eradicated rats on the island, I think, and that was a bit of
snitches. Yeah.
contentious issue. Yeah.
Just everyone was telling the mainland how good it was.
Yeah.
No rats on the island.
Dude, over there they don't fuck around with these things.
Yeah, they'll kill you. If you're a rat, they'll kill you. No, so it was this really kind of like pristine bubble. And I think a lot of people liked going there because you just can't get phone reception. You couldn't get even email. So you get like a dribble of Wi-Fi, but that's kind of it. But the boat, what happens, you realize like the culinary situation on the island is you can either have absolutely the world's most incredible fresh kingfish and crayfish and like deluxe gourmet fare, or frozen chicken.
Yeah.
Like, you can have nuggets
McCain's.
or crayfish. Because it's like you can either have anything, but seafood is like world class. Any other food has to last 2 weeks in the deep freeze because we only get food every 2 weeks.
Oh, man. Well, look, I don't want to say I have to go there because that would look like we're being paid.
But
Well, really, use it as an analogy. I'd never thought about this place until we started doing stuff with Tourism Australia.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen it until I was looking at your Instagram. It's fucking...
No, and then I was like...
some sort of fucking Jurassic Park setup.
What it was a good reminder of, and this is the whole point of the Tourism Australia thing, and that is legitimately why we're having a lot of fun doing it. It's just that thing of going... There's places you haven't thought of. I think you kind of think that you know everywhere good in Australia, and you might have been, but there's a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great stuff, and it doesn't have to be as elaborate as Lord Howe. Like I'm heading up north camping with my little guy next week. I'm pulling him out of school, and we're going to hit a few secluded camping spots up the Central Coast.
Oh, beauty.
Can't wait.
Got to go to Broken Hill for the Priscilla Festival.
See, Another great one.
Broken Hill's Priscilla Festival is called Broken Heel.
That's good.
And apparently it's
That's
just
really
a
good.
full-blown outback drag show.
When is it?
September.
Wonder if you could Denny Ute muster it straight into Broken Heel, straight into Birdsville races.
Yeah, straight into
just crawling around the outback.
the desert spring carnival into Batuta. We got the races on the week before Birdsville.
yeah, it goes Batuta, Birdsville, and then up to Baduri where they've got the camel races.
Yeah, right. Change formats.
Yeah.
The scariest
Or
thing
get
is,
your paper mache hump on your horse. Start spray painting it.
the scariest thing about the Batuta races, there's not much that's scary, but the scariest thing about the Batuta races is that that's where the boxing tents.
Sorry, I was trying to open the can on mic and just copped it in the eye. Speaking of sponsored content.
That Batuta bitter, that's nice and frothy, that one.
I was trying to open a delicious can on the mic.
Yeah.
So they got the boxing troops out there in Western Queensland still.
Also, I'd love to go to one of those tents.
Yeah, and
Love
but
it.
Batuta races the week before Birdsville, so that's where the old boxing tent pull up for a drink. Like, they don't even set up the tent in Batuta races because they're just like, next weekend we're going to Birdsville.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
do they do the tent at the Birdsville races?
Yeah.
Do they?
and
Have you boys ever been to the tent?
Yeah, I've seen the
Batuta,
tent in
it's,
action.
It's just under the stars.
yeah. So in Batuta, it's like
No tent.
yeah, there's no tent and there's
No rules, no roof.
Floor, no rules.
no volunteering.
Just two men trying to switch each other off as fast as possible.
And also no umpire. It's just literally a bar fight.
Yeah.
But the tents are crazy. Like the old guy Fred Brophy, who runs it.
He's been doing it for 100 years.
Yeah,
hasn't he?
yeah. He's
Yep.
got a good book, The Last Showman. And he is a very good, as he would.
Not the greatest, just the last. No. Hugh Jackman can have greatest. Fine. That's more of a quality thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that Hugh Jackman too would be inclined to take him to court either, because it's just like, how about we just sort it out outside, mate? No lawyers, mate. No lawyers.
So he has this thing. He has obviously developed the smarts over the years to gauge when someone's too drunk or when someone's knocked out.
Because he sort of makes the fights, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He'll go, okay.
He's got the drum, rally around the drum. So it's like, it's the old Archie Roach song. I think Archie Roach was in with Tense as well. But it's like, all he needs to know is when someone's knocked out or when someone's too pissed to get in. And I think he does a walk the plank or something like that. And occasionally, he'll find a guy in a outback town that can beat one of his guys. And it'll be like,
That's huge, right?
holy shit, do you want a job? And
Yeah.
more often than not, the kid goes, yeah. It's like, get in the van. We're going to the next town.
And so just that's how the talent evolves.
Yeah. And
It just gets, you beat the reigning champ.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you...
Or anyone. But
And the tent's really, like, the fighter's really diverse kind of guys.
They
He's
are.
got ex-army. He's got, like, a couple of Asian kids
Yeah.
he's met in the city over the years.
Yeah, right.
And, yeah. I mean, one of them's called Chopsticks. I wonder who gave him that name.
It always just I've seen a doco on it which I love, and there was also like one of the fights was like, you know, when Johnny Knoxville fought Butterbean in the department store, like it felt a bit like that.
yeah.
You get because it's great because the guys have been talking shit in town for so long. It's like, well, Brophy's here, mate. Get in the ring. And it's like, fuck, I'm up against some scrambled Iraq war veteran who's just going to fuck me up. And quite often, I mean, also Brophy knows when to pull it up. But, you know, you've got like...
There's definitely a TV format in it.
Yeah.
I mean, someone's got to come along and just go, because it's like one of the last bastions of kind of realness.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from the first episode of SAS last year, where they also had a boxing match, but it's probably a little more hardcore.
Yeah.
Merrick Watts. Man, he's in the wrong game. Merrick should have been about that life.
Had a 1,000-yard stare, didn't he?
Yeah.
A real 1,000-yard stare.
I could do this.
I think they edited it out at the end where Merrick, like, you know, you don't win anything, you've just been selected, and Merrick said, but I am authorised to kill people now, and sorry. No, geez, I mean, I do laugh, but far out. It did not look easy, and he did incredibly well.
So what's the go with you now, mate? Are you ready for
SAS Season 2, so it's a pretty good segue. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
I was waiting for you to say, I'm ready for a rebirth as like a crankier radio guy. Like...
Yeah.
Fork man. Everyone's always said this about Fork Man.
stabbing the issues.
Everyone's always said this about King Kyle. They were like, he'd be great for a little AM pivot, wouldn't he? He'd be great to
He'd be one of the guys that would, and he probably will do it.
Yeah.
He'll do it effortlessly. I reckon he would have done it. He would have done it. Except I reckon he's found that he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, hang on a sec. I'm doing exactly the same thing for much more money in colour and stereo.
Yeah.
I don't think his voice would translate well to AM. Like it's
But
very...
He can pull off...
He's found his people.
He can pull off common sense, though, funnily enough. Like, I reckon he'd be able to get the Grey Army on side and whatever the fuck he was outraged about.
Yeah.
Paul Murray doesn't have that skill. I don't think he completely understands how to cultivate rage, which Kyle definitely does. Hadley is obviously one of the greats. And Alan Jones is the absolute goat. But that's part of the job, right?
John Law's still on air. I saw an ad in the paper yesterday going, the king still reigns supreme. Is he on an internet streaming thing?
No, he's on one in Sydney.
2SM, I think.
2SM.
Or something like that.
As a Melbourne boy, I got no exposure to the Law's phenomenon, really. But I saw something in the paper that was just like, you know, the king reigns. It was
he's up every day.
It was like a third party had taken out the ad. That was more of like a tribute to him than an ad to his radio show.
Mate, we went and interviewed him at 2SM, and like after all of these years, you're just like, this is finally get to lay eyes on the man, and it opens up the door, and it's just like,
he just had,
and it was like the weekend of Bernie's.
Yeah. But he has the gold mic, and he looks for an old codger. He looks so swag, you know. He's got the gold. He's got the white linen. He's still got the PAs. He's still in his mind. He's still like,
there.
Yeah, and he's still got listeners too. But like,
well, he's the king. I saw the ad. He's something like 100 million streams.
You got to see the studio. It's perfect. Like 80s carpet that goes up the pylons.
Yeah, and then up on the roof.
Up on the roof.
Yeah. So everything is the same carpet from,
it's so
from
good.
the floor to the roof.
It's so the mic, the golden mic, is the
Yeah.
only thing that's allowed to absorb the bass of the voice. Everything else is just to dull the sound.
Well, we will. We
Nice,
actually,
man.
I've just realised we should just quickly mention Lego because that has been a fucking runaway hit.
Yeah.
Everyone's mums who
Is that-
were probably a bit too old to hear you on radio now, you're their darling.
Now they're the guy from the Lego Masters. Not
Which also
not the
wasn't
useful
targeted
guy. not the guy that can build Lego. Just host man.
Yeah.
Man, not brick man. No, man, Lego's really fun. It is a really fun show. We've been around a long time. You see that format on paper, you go, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that was before I kind of understood the show, when we first got I got told about it, I was like, okay, I guess I didn't know there was that level of talent in Australia as like elite Lego builders, like people that can create. Just the more I got into it, the more I realized, this is just a show about art and creativity, and Lego happens to be the medium that people are creating in. And that's really beautiful. And I got deeply into it, and I am deeply into it, but the real test for me was like first day in the studio. It was definitely a make or break. Season 1, episode 1, I was like, all right, we knew all the stuff I knew all the stuff to say. Like that particular challenge was like, all right, you're building a city, you've got a city block or whatever. I don't know who I deliberately just wanted to meet the contestants on the show, like rather than kind of figure out who they were beforehand. But I do remember clearly in the back of my mind going, geez, this could be so boring.
Yeah.
This could be terrible. This could be like aversion therapy of like, you could smoke all these cigarettes. You think you like cigarettes? Smoke them all. but at the end of the day,
You're gonna make
you think you like
Lego.
No, you like Lego, do you?
Yeah.
Watch it all day. But at the end of the day, the day raced by, and that was a 15-hour challenge, which in screen time kind of goes for like an hour, but in real time goes for 3 or 4 days. At the end of the day, the contestants have gone home, like all the half-built models and stuff are in the studio, and me and the camera guys are all walking around like so into it, like going, God, what have they done here? Look at this. Shit, look at this building.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, I think this is interesting. Like, this is good. So that was, I'd love to pretend that like, oh, yeah, like I picked it a mile away that this would be good. But it
was probably a pretty big gamble.
It was a gamble. I mean, it felt, anything in TV is, I suppose, but it felt good. You hope it's going to be good. But that first day was, I think, the moment where I properly exhaled to go, I actually think there is definitely something in this.
right.
Like, because all the fun and stuff that we have on the show and taking the piss out of reality and the stuff that I like doing on the show is all good, fine, but it's kind of like the last 5%. If it's not actually interesting to watch people care about the challenge and the buildings, there's no point. It's like, what the fuck are we doing in this shed? So I love watching we never mess around with the competition. We'll mess around with format as much as we can, but we don't want to mess around with the Lego, and we don't want to mess around with the competition because we do love it and we do care about it. So it is fun. It's a lot of fun.
Was it an original concept here?
Yes and no. Because
did they do it overseas?
Well, there was an English version.
Right.
That was great, like quite... that season 1 of their version was like 4 episodes, Sunday afternoon. It actually kind of was like the MasterChef phenomenon. If you looked at MasterChef from the UK, it looks nothing like the Australian MasterChef.
Yeah.
So the UK version was like adults and kids. It was not. It was. They did a really good job of it.
Very
but
mild.
It's so not our show. So
It's a competitive Lego.
Yeah.
so like Channel 9, just like the hyperbole up to 25.
Yeah.
Just like the greatest Lego story ever told. Like, you wait till you see the I just saw the other day the promo for this season, and it looks sick. It's great. It's great TV. But even I had to like laugh at just like but it's like every promo on Channel 9, every promo on TV, like whatever it's like, Farmer Wants a Wife.
What did I
like,
say?
On Farmer
television
season.
television
Wants a
event.
Wife. I was like, is it finally going to rain on Farmer Brad's farm? And then on the episode, it's just like, no, we only got 20 points, not that much. Probably not enough to put in a crop, which I was really hoping for. But like, it's nice having Brioni here, and she's being real supportive and that, but like
Long-awaited television event.
So
Anticipated. The most anticipated television event.
like whether it's My Kitchen Rules, MasterChef, The Block, whatever, it's like the best season yet. Like every season is the greatest season of MasterChef. And so we've played the game. We've gone hard on that.
Yeah.
Like, you're
And
not going to believe
I'm
it.
sure it will get me.
Out of the 5 seasons we've done, this has got to be top 3. I don't think we'll ever beat the second season, but this is right up there. But it's coming. It's coming back, and there's a lot of hardcore promo coming your way.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Haim.
But I love coming in here, boys.
I texted outside and said turn the aircon on. They might have, but we're starting to heat up.
Yeah,
it's
well,
Friday, Arvo. Let's have a few.
It does get hot here in the Simpson Desert, Clancy.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what we love about it.
Yeah.
That's why I move here. It's that dry heat. It's good for the hair.
See Australia.
It's hot and also cold.
Yeah. Oh, that's tourism.
No in
Australia's new
between.
campaign. It's hot. ... But also cold.
It's dry and it is wet.
We've got it all, guys.